We're going to see a lot more interest in it. We're going to see a lot more dollars flowing into this sector. And I think people are getting into their heads that this is not a coin. These are software productivity tools. And I think when you think of it as a nascent industry, you definitely want to get a portfolio of these positions. So I'm not the only person that thinks this way. Obviously, we're going to get a lot more of this. It's interesting at Bitcoin 2022 that the first day is sold out for institutions only, which is amazing. That's the first time that's ever happened. I'll definitely be there. And I think that's going to be a really interesting day to see all of these institutions who still don't own any Bitcoin come to learn more about it. And really, it's because of that executive order.
Members of the cryptocurrency community cheered and clapped on March 9th as Joe Biden signed an executive order despite previously stating that he was not a fan of Bitcoin. He also directed federal agencies to investigate cryptocurrency in order to protect consumers. He wants the United States to be a leader in cryptocurrency innovation and does not want the United States to be left behind. Kevin OLeary, a Canadian investor and Shark Tank celebrity, recently gave an interview in which he discussed how the executive order will affect cryptocurrency. He can already see the positive effects of the order, as investors who were previously on the sidelines are now venturing into the space. Let's see what he has to say, and don't forget to click the like button.
Them all, and I've invested in them. And they're trying to solve primarily financial services transactions and other issues, and do it more productively at a lower cost, more transparently with audit features. And so, to me, that's the productivity software development. And I don't know why, if I own, as I do, Microsoft and Alphabet and Google and everything else in software, why wouldn't I own this? Because it's a nascent industry that people are skeptical. But that's the time to be an investor. You want to get in before the institutions do, and right now they're not in it yet because the order has just started. But we've had some real milestones occur in the last 2 weeks. Number one is the Loomis bill that's going through a bipartisan committee in Congress, which is great. I had a chance to visit with the senators last week in Washington, a bipartisan committee, so that's pretty rare in Washington. And then, of course, like everybody else, I read the Biden executive order. And most of it was very good news because it basically says we've got to be competitive, we've got to regulate this, and which I think is good because I look at the S&P 500 and there's 11 sectors in it. And I believe that over the next decade, blockchain and cryptocurrencies and the financial services productivity that they provide will become the 12th sector of the S&P. So the way I look at it when I'm running a mandate, let's say I have $100 billion, I'm an institution or I'm a sovereign fund. Normally those mandates look like this: no more than 20% in any one sector, no more than 5% in any one stock or bond. And I've done exactly that with my foray into crypto. So I'm at 20%. And within that portfolio, which is a very big commitment to this space, I vary my position holdings from 1% to 5%. So how much Ethereum should I own? How much Bitcoin? How much Solana? How much HBAR? How much Avalanche, Serum, Helium? I own all those, and I vary their size based on any portfolio mandate that, based on my optimism for these development teams and what they're doing. And I'm very, very fortunate. I guess sometimes it's good to be Mr. Wonderful. I get to talk to all of them all the time, and I'm very interested. I've been investing in software developers my whole career, and I really believe this: the smartest hands over keyboards now are working on the chain. They're working in crypto. Why? Because they don't want to work for the old economy. They want to be part of the new economy. And the potential of making major change is at their fingertips, literally.
I had a little observation. The executive order mentions risk 47 times. It mentions opportunity or opportunities only 4 times. Why do you think that this is?
So far, the volatility in all cryptocurrencies has been dramatic. And that's a risk, obviously, if you don't have a long-term view. But the reason you have such volatility in Bitcoin, let's take that as a staple, is there's no institutional support. If let's say you're running 100 billion, we spoke of that earlier, generally you would put a 1% to 3% position in something like Bitcoin or gold or other assets like that. And if the price corrected, you would buy it back up to 3%. That does not happen with Bitcoin because there's virtually no large institutions owning it. So yes, there's risk in this nascent period, this early period. But when institutions decide to make this an asset class, I would rather be investor before that happens than after, because the amount of capital will come into it and they'll make their own decisions about which cryptocurrencies they want. They may take a portfolio approach. But I would argue, yes, there's risk. I mean, you can put, $10,000 into Bitcoin and have it be worth 6,000 in 2 days. That's happened every year. And so I think Biden was wise, because obviously by giving the credibility through an executive order to cryptocurrencies, he wants to make sure that he's not, that he's emphasizing the risk that we all know, those of us who participated for years, that is inherent in this. Before, we're going to see more compliance. We're going to see a lot more interest in it. We're going to see a lot more dollars flowing into this sector. And I think people are getting into their heads that this is not a coin. These are software productivity tools. And I think when you think of it as a nascent industry, you definitely want to get a portfolio of these positions. So I'm not the only person that thinks this way. Obviously, we're going to get a lot more of this. It's interesting at Bitcoin 2022 that the first day is sold out for institutions only, which is amazing. That's the first time that's ever happened. I'll definitely be there. And I think that's going to be a really interesting day to see all of these institutions who still don't own any Bitcoin come to learn more about it. And really, it's because of that executive order. You got to think about it this way. Biden pushed the stone down the mountain, and now it's accelerating and it's getting bigger. It's like a snowball, just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. But he started it all, and I'm proud that he did it. I think it's the right thing to do, even though the world's a crazy place right now. We all know that. This is an important sector that deserves support. So many investors that I work with have never gone into this at all. I've known them my whole career. Started asking me, how should I get into this with my own portfolio? And I always say to them, look, start by opening a centralized wallet and a decentralized wallet. Maybe go on, decide where you want to do those. That's up to you. And there's so much great information on all the platforms, including Reddit and YouTube and everything else, that you can start to learn. Take a small amount of money. I don't care if it's $200, because you're going to lose it in the beginning. You're going to get hacked because you don't know what you're doing. But that's okay. It's a learning experience. And once you start to understand how this works, I don't care what you use, but get both. Get a centralized and decentralized, so you start to understand how this works, and transfer some assets between your accounts. Take some USD, upload it, and buy some ETH. Get into it and start learning. It's so interesting, and within, I don't know, 2 months, you can be very knowledgeable. And then if you really go down the rabbit hole like I have, then drill down into the heliums and the Polygon versus Solana versus, HBAR and all the rest of that. But it's definitely a learning experience. And I think all of these wallets are going to get easier. We know with certainty the tax report is going to get easier because it's a mandate now. Next April, you're going to have to show your gains and losses and any staking you've done on your assets. I think that's also good. It's all good. I haven't seen a lot of negatives yet. And I saw the EU. I watched that vote with you just a couple of hours ago. They did the right thing. They said this is crazy. We shouldn't stifle innovation. Even the EU figured that out. They don't want to fall behind. And so at the end of the day, we're going to have proof of work driving technology to a much higher place in terms of using energy more efficiently. And that's a very, very good thing for everybody on the planet.
Thank you for watching the video. Please let me know what you think of Kevin's thoughts on cryptocurrency in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe for more crypto news, and see you here again soon.